Sorry, folks. We took a break. Next up is Elemental.
Great family movie.
Fun for the whole family.
Completely forgettable. It was cute. I don't know. Nobody watched this, right? Like, this was like...
Yeah.
Nobody's watched this. I watched this over Thanksgiving break with, again, my family. Probably never would have watched it otherwise. I can put it above The Flash.
You think maybe C?
I put a D, actually. Because, like, it was so utterly forgettable. It was a very formulaic Pixar film. It was Zootopia with elements, attempting a similar story, but it just had a mild, like, a little less charm.
Elemental is a D. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I don't know if this movie really needed to happen. I don't think it was, like, utter trash or anything, but I also don't think it was, like, the best movie of all time. I think that's kind of most people's opinions on it.
Isn't he, like, 80 now?
He's pretty old. They used some de-aging on him in a throwback scene, which was pretty interesting. I thought it was fine. You know, they wanted to wrap up the franchise, kind of just squeeze one more movie out of the Indiana Jones
I think they should
brand.
remake it with Kei Kwan.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because, like, you can actually bring him back, and now Hollywood loves him.
It's kind of an unnecessary movie, but we're in a day and age where those happen a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's gonna fall somewhere in like the C or D range. I mean, did I like it better than Megan and Fast 10? Like, not really, but I also don't think it's bad enough to put it on par with, like, well, I don't know, are The Flash and Elemental like bad movies? Or are they just
The Flash
like...
is arguably bad, Elemental's eh. So I'd put it above Elemental.
Yeah.
The way to describe it sounds like C.
I don't know, man. It was like, no, why not? We'll throw it C. Shout out to Harrison Ford.
Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah.
Another Part 1, but this one was more of the closed its story to open a new one. The train sequence, and I was a Thomas the Tank Engine kid growing up, so I'm a sucker for, like, any train scene. Murder on Orient Express, one of my favorite movies. Love train scenes, and this was the most epic of any action sequence like I've seen. I loved it because it was so long, so tense, and frankly quiet. I put it behind Fallout. I don't think it was as good as Fallout.
I do too. Yeah.
But I'm willing to give it a high B, if not A.
And you got to think about too what this movie accomplished during the time that it was filmed. I mean, having been filmed during like the height of COVID and all the restrictions and everything,
and the huge stunt that, like, he actually did. Dude.
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah.
The villain was just this random pull from a previous film.
Yeah, I couldn't get behind the Gabriel
it's
villain.
Actually Isai Morales from this film when he was a random henchman or something like that. I don't even remember.
I don't even know if he was in a previous film. I really couldn't. I think that was my biggest quarrel with it, is I was like, who is this guy?
I like the AI being the villain.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it was especially timely given like what's happening nowadays.
And I'm excited to see what they are about to do.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really good. I've heard a couple theories. Dude, I love Haley Atwell.
Yes, she was so good. I didn't know why she was in that movie plot wise, but
she was great. I think they had a good dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Haley, you're welcome on the show anytime. I think my favorite parts of the movie were the car crash scene where they crash the car and it's from her perspective and it's like fuzzy, and then you see Tom Cruise hit a guy with his motorcycle, like, but it's like fuzzy and you're like still waking up. I thought that was awesome. And then obviously the cliff stunt.
It was a big year for her too.
It was.
She had like 3 episodes of What If just about her.
Shout out to Mission Impossible. Yeah, I agree. I think it's like a strong B or an A. I think based on the movies we have here, I'd consider it an A.
Okay, I'm willing. All right, now for Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer, baby. I did Barbenheimer. I saw them the same night. I was at the theater for 7 hours, bro.
Holy cow.
I was like so done by the end.
I liked Barbie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people tried to shove narrative on it like too heavily when it was fun. I had a fun time watching the movie. I thought it was hilarious. Just the fact that Ken showed up to Earth and then just discovered patriarchy and brought it back was so funny. I went to the theater with 10 people. Everyone hated it. Like, I came out smiling. I was like, oh, this is fun.
That's crazy, man.
This movie sucked. And it was like all boys and girls. Like, it was like 5 and 5 practically. And they came out and I was like, oh, that was fun. They're like, that was terrible. I'm like, seriously?
The set design, the music.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Ken song was great.
Oh, it was awesome, man. Dude, and I think
the best joke that nobody talked about was when they had this huge, the beach fight, like where they had like the beach balls and stuff, and then Will Ferrell, who's totally underutilized.
He was my least favorite part, to
which
be
sucks.
honest.
I love Will Ferrell, but like it
Yeah.
was just like, hey, Will Ferrell, be yourself.
It
It's like,
didn't work, yeah.
But they're walking through, and then one of the guys gets shot with a gun, and you're like, I
Dude.
give it an A.
No, I agree, man. I mean, I think I could go strong A. I mean, I could go S. I think my problem with Barbie was just like, I'd already been at the theater for like 5 hours. And so like the last like 45 minutes, I was like, all right, man,
There's so much hate to The Godfather.
I'm kind of done. Yeah, I was just kind of done by then. Overall, I think it was great. I'd give it like a strong A. What do you think?
I give it.
Yeah. All right.
I wanna push you around. Well, I will. Well, I will. Oppenheimer. There were 3 movies this year, and they were my top 3 movies. We haven't even talked about my top 3 movies yet for this year.
That's crazy.
And there were 3 movies. My top 3, all of them, I finished the movie and just sat in like shock and silence.
Yeah.
Just processing. And Oppenheimer was easily one of those movies. And I actually am going to put it at second for my year. I think it was a fantastic movie. The acting was remarkable. I learned a lot, like about the history for sure. The story was daunting, and there was some controversy about the atomic bomb not being shown and people reacting to it over in Japan. I personally think that artistic choice is actually very good because it left Killian with this horror of what he possibly could have done. Like he didn't know. He didn't see it. He just known that it was destruction and killed a lot of people.
Right, because the movie is like from his perspective and Strauss's perspective.
He never saw the bomb.
Yeah.
And I did not expect a twist villain in a biopic.
Yeah.
This is classic Nolan because he's telling 3 different timelines at the same time. There were parts of it where I wish it was a little clearer, like because there's the black and white, very clearly you could tell when it was. But then there were the 2 colored timelines. I wish there was like a more clear definition between those, but that's not enough to really like put it like, and I'll let you say more, but for me it's no question an S.
I think a big thing that helped me enjoy this movie even more was the fact that I saw it twice. The first time I saw it, I did see it in the 70mm IMAX, which was like pretty crazy. I'd never experienced that before. But then going to see it a second time and having a better understanding of who all of the big power players are in the like history of it.
Every 15 minutes there would be a new like giant celebrity cameo.
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh.
Albert comes in and it feels like an MCU cameo, and it's really funny.
Great.
But yeah, I think like seeing it a second time really helps you understand the events that are in motion throughout the story. But I agree with pretty much everything that you said, and I think it's a pretty easy
A lot of Oscars. I know there's like these weird new rules, but I think if there was just a normal standard Oscars, like easily Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, I think this movie like screams Oscar nominations. Like I think
there was more for Emily Blunt. I think she needed more.
Oh, she was great.
She was great, but I think she needed like more. It's a very interesting story that like I guess we knew but never knew. So yeah, S tier.
I'm gonna go with strong S. This is our top movie so far.
Yeah.
It's my top movie on the list, but your top movie so far.
It's my second.
All right, next up is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is tough because I was pretty excited going into the movie. I saw, the art style. I loved how they had actual teenagers voicing the turtles.
Tons of like a stellar cast.
Yeah, good cast. It was
Giancarlo Esposito for like one scene.
Yeah. It was fun how they sort of improv a lot of it. I thought that was fun. It seemed like they had a lot of fun making the movie.
Nicolas Cantu and Dream has made me look on this in a unique perspective now.
Oh yeah, true. I think this movie was like a little disappointing for me, unfortunately. Like I think I just kind of got a little bored watching it. I don't have like there wasn't like a specific moment that like turned me off from it or anything, or like a specific character. It just like didn't really do it for me. So I was like a little bit disappointed, but there were still a lot of positives with the movie in general.
I agree with most of what you said. I despised Superfly.
Ice Cube.
Horrible. Like, okay, when he became this giant kaiju, he's like, oh, I'm gonna step on this now. Like, you can't take him seriously at all. Like, he was a terrible villain. And like, yes, I know they're bringing in Shredder for the next one. I think you should have shoehorned him in for the first one. Like, it just couldn't take it very seriously. I loved the animation, although a few character designs were like mildly disturbing. I think, especially like Seth Rogen, I think it was great. I think the teenager thing made it great. And that's why I'm willing to put it high C, low B.
For me personally, it's a D. I would say we could do rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, I'm willing.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's put it
Alright.
at C.
It's a C.
Compromise there.
That's probably a compromise anyways, because you were thinking maybe B. So next up, I think a pretty underrated gem of 2023, and that is The Creator.
Was it an original story?
It is a fully original sci-fi story, which I think you don't get a lot of nowadays. I think that's one reason I like it a lot. And
This was Rogue One's director, right?
and I was gonna say it does have Rogue One vibes. I don't know how to describe that, but like it feels very Rogue One.
It's like top 3 Star Wars for me.
Yeah, I mean, it just has it definitely has like the Gareth Edwards feel. I think what's one thing that's so cool about this movie is that the budget for it looks so expensive, but it's really not. It's like a really pretty cheap movie. I think what I remember is that it was maybe 80 million, which it looks 300 million. So it's pretty cool. Some scenes, I watched a video on it, they would only bring like 4 people on set. And so like there's just 4 people out there. So they're not bringing huge casts and crew to some of these shots. This movie is just such vibes, man. At the end of the day, like it was so cool. I love the USS. I mean, I didn't love the USS Nomad, but just how like haunting and like dystopian that whole aspect of the story was. I thought it was a great movie. It's probably in like my top, I don't know if it's in my top 5, but it's definitely in my top 10 of the year. Oh, also the music is sick. There's this one scene, if you guys have seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. When they're doing that secret ops mission and they're like descending down in like the helicopter and Everything in Its Right Place by Radiohead is playing. It's such a cool scene. That's like one of my favorite movie scenes of the year for some reason. It's not even like a crazy scene, but just the vibes are immaculate. I'm giving The Creator an A probably.
All right.
Next movie is Killers of the Flower Moon. A lot of like, I feel like this was a big year for like historical movies.
And legendary directors.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Like big directors making big historical movies. Killers of the Flower Moon was awesome. You're not gonna miss when you have Scorsese, De Niro, and DiCaprio all together. That's like the big. It's just perfect chemistry. It felt so right. I think what shows good acting is when you don't see it as the actor, you see it as a character. Right. It's like when I'm watching the movie, I'm not seeing Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm not seeing Robert De Niro. I'm seeing these historical figures that they're portraying. And I thought they did an excellent job. Lily Gladstone could honestly win Best Lead Actress for me. She'll probably be nominated. Margot Robbie will probably be nominated. So we'll see who ends up winning that. But she was fantastic. Oh, I guess Emily Blunt.
That's tough.
Yeah, I think Emily Blunt might squeak that one out. But I think Lily Gladstone was great too. If she won it, I wouldn't be disappointed. But I think this is another A for me at the end of the day.
And now we've got another big historical film.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Easily the most memed movie of the year.
Yeah, for sure, dude. You got the Josh Hutcherson whistle meme coming back. You've got
it's a 2014 renaissance.
You've got the Vanessa staring meme. I mean, this was just, everyone was looking forward to this coming out because you just knew it was going to be an event.
Yeah, but you had the whole theater, right?
Yeah, so Jack and I, which you guys know Jack from previous videos, we saw the movie pretty late after it came out, and we were the only ones in the theater. And so we're just like screwing around the entire time. So I think for me, a big part of this was just like the theater experience of seeing the movie. But it was hilarious. I mean, is it a good story? It's got a few holes in it for sure. It's not all the way there, but hey, it was fun.
Yeah, and what's hilarious is this was actually another Barbenheimer situation, because back in 2014, forgive me, what was the Taylor Swift album?
The Eras Tour?
No, there's one that came out in 2014. Oh, what was it?
Swifties, comment down below.
Please, no, I can figure this out.
It's the one with 1989.
Yes, the one with the seagulls.
Yeah, 1989.
Yeah, so 1989, I believe, came out in 2014 at the same time as the game. It just got Taylor's version, like the whole reimagining, the same exact day that Five Nights at Freddy's got its reimagination.
But there's another Barbenheimer event that I feel like didn't catch any traction that I feel like it definitely should have, which it's opening weekend, Saw 10 and Paw Patrol. I feel like Saw Patrol or Paw X.
Oh, that was brilliant!
Yeah, or Paw 10.
Man.
Dude, that's a great double feature. You take your kids to see Paw Patrol, and then you show them Saw 10. I mean, what a great
Coming
night.
of age, yeah.
Great night for the whole family. I mean, are we judging this based on how much we enjoyed the movie or how good of a movie it is? Because that could change.
This is mostly opinion.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're not movie
This is
critics. This is just our experience with the movie. I mean, personally, bro, I enjoyed it more than than Indiana Jones and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I can't put it B, dude. That's like crazy. Megan's the best of the three, but I feel like enjoyment-wise, FNAF, Fast 10, and Megan are all kind of on the same plane, so I'm fine to throw it C.
Okay. I think C is a good place to put the movies that like you enjoyed but aren't particularly, quality. The Marvels. Very creative name. And a huge bomb, unfortunately, for the industry, which I hope is really kind of setting them on a path to focus more on quality and marketing. But I think this one was so heavily hated before it came out. They fixed Brie Larson's character for me. And the peak, of course, was Iman Vellani. And we're seeing this huge thing is like these young kids who are not actors becoming actors.
That's fun.
Like Iman Vellani is just a huge Marvel fan who plays the character who's a huge Avengers fan. And it works for her. She had a great sense of humor. There's a sleepover scene where they figured out how to like unite their powers and stuff. It was fun.
Yeah.
No question for me. Mm-hmm. It's above The Flash. And that's why I'd put it at the bottom of C, because it wasn't remarkable enough.
All right, The Marvels is a C.
The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Great book, very interesting to see, like, they take the Hunger Games world and travel it back in time. So it's, like, ancient, but for that world, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very cool to see President Snow younger, some of the decisions that brought him there. But the ending shook me so much reading the book that I trauma blocked it. I completely like blocked out how the movie ended, or how the book ended. So when I went to the movie, I had this like sense of dread the entire time, but I could not remember how it ended. And then when the last scene, the last sequence, dude, like it was just full goosebumps. We were like, no. Like you're like, please. You're begging at this point in the movie. Yeah. Like it pulls you in to this guy. You're like, he's a good guy. Please be a good guy. Like you're just begging for him to like be okay, but we know that he's President Snow who sends all these kids to be murdered.
Right.
Viola Davis, Peter Dinklage, Snow White,
Rachel Zegler.
All of those three, arguably the best performances I've seen from them. They were so good. And you can take this joke out, but Viola Davis played my favorite evil condom. Nope, I messed it up.
That's honestly, it's even funnier now.
Viola Davis, I have to pull up a picture. Viola Davis played my favorite evil tampon.
Dude. Yeah, I can't unsee that now.
She killed it, dude.
Yeah?
They were so good. Like, every single one of them was so good. Peter Dinklage, tragic character. But that was one of the movie's entire theater completely full. Not a seat was empty, and the movie ended. Crickets. Like, you didn't hear people getting up, being like, oh, well, that's so... Like, it was just silence as everyone was trying to mull over the ending of that movie. Because it just... Oh, and the music. Snow Falls on Top is the name of the song. I've played it again, and it just gives me chills. It is so good. They filmed a lot of the originals at the Marriott Marquis in Atlanta. Yeah. So, like, the giant atrium, it's actually the TVA.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Dude, fun fact. So my parents and I were mountain biking, and we roll up kind of on like an open area. There were a couple guys out there with radios, and they were like, hey, like you guys can't come this way because they're filming a movie out here and there's explosives. And we were like, oh, like what movie is it? He was like, oh, I don't know, but it's some movie with Donald Sutherland. Turns out it was the first Hunger Games movie.
Really?
Yeah, so it's and where you
That's
see.
That's so cool.
I know.
How old were you? Were you like 8?
I was pretty young. Yeah, I was like in elementary school. Maybe I was middle school.
Something
actually.
Like that.
Yeah, I was like elementary or middle school. If you look back at the first movie, I've been to like a bunch of those places. Like, and a lot of people have.
Cool.
Like,
is this in Carolina?
Yeah, it's like Brevard area, North Carolina.
It's an S for me.
It's an S for you.
It is an S. It is clearly an S because it was verbatim the book.
Yeah.
Too, and it was so good. They crammed a lot. I thought it would be 2 movies. But they made it 1, and it worked.
It's my fault for not going to see it.
You shoulda. It's so good.
I don't know if it's Oppenheimer level. That's the thing.
It's below Oppenheimer.
No, man. I mean, I didn't see it, so you put it where you want. This is our video. It's not my video. Right. This is ours.
I'm going to put it at the top of A. I think that's fair.
Okay.
Just because
You changed your mind, dude. I thought you were going to put bottom of S.
I would. Like, if it was fully mine, But, like, yes, you haven't seen it, and 2, I know I have a very, very strong Hunger Games bias.
Okay.
Like, I know that. So that's why I'm going to put it at the top of A.
Next up, we got Napoleon, and
Yeah, I didn't see this because of what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know I said Cocaine Bear was my least favorite movie of the year, but guys, it might be Napoleon, which is so sad because this movie sucks, dude.
Which is so weird. It's Ridley Scott and Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know what happened here. It's just long and boring, and I don't know how accurate it is. I know there were some inaccuracies. Like, I don't remember.
he shot at the pyramids.
Yeah, I don't remember that ever happening.
I did not.
Not that I was there, but I don't remember
I
ever
was.
learning about that. Oh, cool, you were there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, yeah, you'd probably have some qualms with the movie then.
He wasn't as short as you think.
This is one of the 3 movies that I almost fell asleep watching this year. And those were Ant-Man, Cocaine Bear, and Napoleon. All the others were able to keep me awake the whole time. I did watch the whole movie. I didn't fall asleep, but I had to really try not to.
Sounds like the beginning of a bar joke. Ant-Man, Cocaine Bear, and Napoleon walked into a bar.
And this was unfortunately on this list. This is the movie I saw the most recently, and it's like one of the ones I remember the least about because it was so like awful.
So are you putting it at F, or are you gonna put it ED?
Oh, I'm putting it at F, dude. At the end of the day, I'm sorry, Ridley Scott. I'm sorry, Joaquin Phoenix, but Ghosted was more entertaining. That's crazy. That feels so sinful to even say, dude. Nah, but I think Napoleon just suffers from weird creative choices. I don't even know why I'm still talking about this movie. I know it's an F. It's my least favorite movie. I don't care. And no one's gonna disagree with me. I haven't heard anyone who's liked it so far. So Napoleon's an F. Long story short.
Timothy Chalamet's Wonka. It was a trip, dude. Like, I was on a huge road trip. I had to go down to Georgia, back to Nashville, and on my way through Chattanooga, I stopped with my friends to watch Wonka. So it was like I had already been on the road a long time, and I was about to be on it even longer. So this was like a weird little pit stop. I went in, the first lines are in song. And I'm like, this is a musical? I had no idea it was a musical. So that, like, you have to go to a musical prepared to see a musical.
Well, that's the thing, is they marketed it where it wasn't a musical because they said, oh, people won't go see musicals. They really like rickrolled
They
their
did.
audience.
I love musicals. I do like musicals. But, like, when I'm not expecting it, it's, like, hard to take it seriously, especially when it's Timothy Chalamet, who the only thing I've ever heard him sing was the Yeet Skirt with Pete Davidson on SNL. So this was quite the transition.
Yeah.
So, are you a millennial?
No.
Okay.
I'm not that old, man.
Okay, I didn't think so. But, like, there's this, like, trend online. I'm not saying, like, all millennials, but it's, like, this trend about, like, millennial humor. And this was fully, like, millennial humor and dialogue and script.
Yikes.
It was weird. It was confusing. It was uncomfortable, a little awkward, but it was Willy Wonka. And it was like, it almost made it okay at that point. Okay, major spoilers. I'm just going to tell you the second half of the movie in 2 sentences. This little orphan girl starts singing to a giraffe so Willy Wonka has enough time to milk it so he can make his special chocolate. But then they realize that the evil cartel that has been the evil chocolate cartel that has been feeding Keegan-Michael Key as a chief of police a bunch of chocolate until he becomes practically a balloon, is working underneath the cathedral. They set a giraffe loose into a Catholic church to attack Mr. Bean playing the cleric. So they can sneak into the confessional that's an elevator downstairs, but then they get trapped in this giant vat of chocolate that's literally just brown water. Like, it didn't have any, like, sticky or anything down there. They're starting to get drowned, but then... Oh, how did they even get out? I don't even remember how they got out. Yeah, the Oompa Loompa! That is just randomly Hugh Grant with, like, this very posh accent. And, like... So they CGI'd Hugh Grant as this miniature orange fellow who keeps, like, saying, like, I'm going to take your chocolate back because you took something from our land. And I hated it, man. I did not enjoy that movie. And, like, everyone was like, that was fun. I'm like, I did not like this. And then I went back and I started singing.
You're going off right now.
I started singing the music. And I started playing the music. And I started thinking about, like, the movie. I'm like, I really enjoyed that.
No way, actually.
And I was like, in the movie, I was so mad.
After all that?
I hated it. I was like, I can't believe I paid money to watch this. And then I'm like, man, that was fun. And, like, I looked back on it fondly. But I would never go again. But I wanted to. I wanted to take my family because I'm like, oh, they would love this. And I'm like, I hated it. So I'm like, I'm so confused because I look back on it. He played a perfect young Gene Wilder. I don't know where to put it. But I'm going to put it at a very low C.
I was gonna guess you're gonna throw it like D tier.
I will.
That didn't take much.
It's just like, I hated being in that movie.
All right, and closing out, I feel like this is just poetic, like closing out
With Matthew's #1 movie.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people for 2023, like one of their favorite movies of the year is Godzilla -1.
I don't think it's fair totally, because I watched it actually yesterday. So this is very fresh.
Yeah.
And yesterday, spoiler alert, was 2014.
Oh
dear. I'm not a monster movie guy. I know we mentioned earlier, I'm not a huge action guy, and monster movies I find so cliche. I hated Godzilla versus Kong more
Yeah,
than
I did
almost.
too.
I hated that movie, and that was one of my first like monster movie experiences. So I didn't go in this with like a lot of expectation, but dude, it's not a Godzilla movie. It's absolutely about characters, and it's not about characters with superpowers. It's not about people that we read about in history. It was a veteran, but like no specific veteran, and it was a look into guilt. It was a look into how we can honor those that are lost. Godzilla showed up for scenes as the conflict, but not at all as like Godzilla's doing this. Like half of the movie was just how do you survive, because they put this in the 1940s, which I think was an excellent idea, because you don't have like all sorts of aerial bombardments and modern you don't have as much modern technology to fight it off, and I just think it worked so much better. Seeing Godzilla in the water, horrifying. I'm also horrified of the ocean. I was horrified for a lot of the movie, because like anything that comes from the water I despise. But my one complaint is dude was curvy. Like it was weird. Like Mewtwo from Pokemon?
Right.
It was like that style, like the weird like really round legs. He'd just show up in the city and he just would look like completely overweight.
You're flipping here. You've gone between curvy and overweight. Is Godzilla thick with 2 C's or 1 C? Okay.
So it's like
I see it.
I almost say it's K.
It's got some thunder thighs.
Whenever it showed up, it was only like 3 scenes that you could see the entire Godzilla.
Yeah.
And he'd just be like, okay, it's a little odd. And like the people I talked to about the movie agreed, like it was just like an odd design, but like overall, he was powered. I noticed it the first time around, but I know some people didn't. Is that he got his power, like the atomic breath, from the bomb of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Originally, the person who wrote the original film for Godzilla was traumatized from the atomic bomb, and that's why Godzilla has atomic breath. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And that's really cool that they brought it back, including the theme, the dun dun dun, like the whole Godzilla theme came back. Just the storytelling was so different, because you see with all the movies we've seen, American storytelling is so rigid with Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Yeah.
Scene ends with this giant, he's right behind me, isn't he? You know, like you get the stereotypical stuff here, but this, they're willing to fade out in the middle of conversation. Like they had a conversation, they like, well, why did you do this? Fades out, and then fades into a new scene.
Yeah.
And it was great, because you didn't have to emphasize every scene with a punch, and then it made it feel a little bit more of snapshots of the story than a forced narrative.
All this kind of being said, man, you're thinking S tier for Godzilla?
It's a shame to do anything else.
Yeah.
It was incredible film. Highly recommend it.
This was a long video, but
good movies.
We have our list. F tier, we have Cocaine Bear, Murder Mystery 2, and Napoleon. E tier, we have Ant-Man, Quantumania, and Ghosted. D tier, we have The Flash, Elemental, and Wonka. It's pretty sick that we only have 8 movies in our bottom half.
Yeah.
Like, clearly we liked a majority of the movies this year, which is fun.
Yeah.
C tier, we've got Megan, Fast 10, Little Mermaid, Indiana Jones, Ninja Turtles, FNAF, and The Marvels. B tier, we have Jesus Revolution, Dungeons & Dragons, Mario, The Covenant, and Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. A tier, we've got The Hunger Games, John Wick 4, Air, Mission Impossible, Barbie, The Creator, and Killers of the Flower Moon. S tier, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Spider-Verse, Oppenheimer, and Godzilla -1. Great work, man.
Yeah.
Great work.
It's been a pleasure to watch movies.
It has been a pleasure to watch movies. Look at what we've done from last year compared to this year. So many more movies watched. Maybe we'll even have a bigger list next year. Let us know what we got right and what we got wrong. and sub to the channel if you haven't yet.
We go to the theater to love, to laugh. Because somehow
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this. How should we end this video? That's the problem I always have, dude, is like starting the movie. No! All right. All right, we'll end it with that. See you guys.